Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for attending our awareness session today for the 14th cycle of Global Continual Improvement that conduct every year under the subgroup of continuous improvement. I'm pleased to have our esteemed speaker, Mr. Walid Mazen, the Managing Director of VVIR and the Continuous Improvement Subgroup member. He will take us in a journey overview, the categories and the criteria for the Global Continual Improvement Award. If you have any question or concern you need him to answer, please drop it in the section of Q&A, and we will take it further and answer all your concerns at the end of the awareness session. Mr. Walid, I'm gonna leave the floor to you to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dua. Good morning, everyone who is attending with us today to get a better understanding about the categories of the awards and what sort of structure we are gonna explain today. So a brief introduction to myself. My name is Walid Mazen. I'm the Managing Director of VVIR, as what Dua has said, and I've been in the field of continuous improvement and organizational transformation for the last 22 years, working across Europe, Middle East, and North Africa, helping organizations in doing different projects, transformation, and developing people in the lean, Kaizen, continuous improvement, and helping leadership and executives in the transformation of their organization. I'll be taking you today through a journey of explaining what is the awards and what sort of the requirements for the awards. So if you give me 1 sec, I'll just share my slide. So basically, we're going to go through basically the Global Improvement Award cycle, the 14th cycle. And let's start with what are the categories. So there are 4 award categories: Best Practice Management, Lean Six Sigma, Kaizen and Innovation, Happiness and Engagement. I'm going to go through each of them, explaining the requirements of what the project documentation would need to look like when you submit your document. And I'm going to highlight a few of the critical points that we've seen over the last few cycles, and some of the questions that we tend to get on a regular basis that I'm going to cover in the presentation today. And at the end, if still you have some questions or very specific requirements, please feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat, and we will be answering this at the end. So let's start with the first category, which is best practice management. So as I explain each category, you'll find that there is a similarity between the different categories. So as we move forward, there will be a retouch very high level on some of the let's say headers that we're going to be covering. The first one is best practice management category. So we always start with the first slide, or the first topic that you need to cover is about the organization. So we would like you to, as a project team who is submitting your project, to give us an introduction about your company, what sort of products or services that you're in, the size of the organization, not necessary to explain it from a financial point of view, but how big, what you're doing, let's say the reach of the organization. And then if you have multi-site within the UAE or different countries, if you have different locations. So it's a brief introduction about the company, and we tend to ask you please to limit it to 1 or 2 slides to give you more space, because again, we have a limit of 20 slides per submission. So do not take a lot of slides in the introduction of the company, but it's good to understand a bit of a background of the company. Then the second header is related to the brief, and this I might, as I talk, to say slide 2, slide 3, but please feel free that it's not limited to number of slides, as brief is slide 2, problem identification is slide 3. It depends on how you structure your presentation or your submission, okay, and depending on that. So the second point is a brief, and what this brief is to give a very high overview of where did this best practice come from? Was it related to a problem that you were facing within the organization that you worked on solving? Is it some opportunity that you've identified? Is it a creative idea that has generated this? So to give us a very high level brief of what basically the best practice is about, and uh, like an executive summary on the best practice. The next point, which is the problem identification and challenges, this is where we go into the details, okay, of if it was related to a problem that you are facing within your organization or within your department or within a team, okay, because it depends what the best practice, where it came from. So what pushed you into trying to solve this? What was it? What was the consequences of the problem that you were facing? And as you can see, there are a few questions, 3.1 to 3.4, and I'm not going to read every single question in each section, okay? Because these questions are indicative for you to help you to answer, to basically formulate what you need to cover within the slide. It's not exhaustive, but it is basically sufficient to get you to highlight and talk about, let's say, the section itself. Please be aware also, as a very general, if you are a newcomer or it's your first time to submit, these questions do not mean that you have to answer every question on the slide. That is not the objective of these questions or these bullet points that you have in each section, but they are there to help you to, let's say, navigate and think of different aspects. And it's down to you how you want to present it, as, let's say, a graph, as a picture, or some text, or a mixture of all of them. So please feel free to be creative and utilize each section as you see fit. But it is important that you cover basically the sections required, because for each section there are, let's say, points and basically a measurement on how you've done it. So within the problem identification and challenges, where did this initiate from? What was the problem, or how did you identify the opportunity within the organization or the department, and what was the, let's say, the criticality of this problem or this opportunity that you can gain from it. So you're going to dive deeper into the, let's say, the starting of formulating this best practice. The next one is strategy. And this looks at where the potential solutions develop. So this is going into, after we've identified the problem, after we've collected the data, how did we start to generate ideas? How did we basically start to put targets? How did we action plan? Okay, and put trial and error improvement, let's say, trial and error, let's say, mechanism on trying to understand how we're going to move forward with the solution and coming up with this new best practice that we want to present within the award. Then point number 5 is related to people and resources. And this is, who were the people involved in this project? Is it a multidiscipline team, cross-functional team? Is it a department? What sort of levels have been involved within this project? Is it, let's say, a managerial team that was working? Is it across, let's say, multiple levels, from operators, if we're in a factory, or employees, supervisors, managers, executives? So this is trying to highlight, okay, who are the people involved in this project, but also if we have any other stakeholders who supported, or we needed to get buy-in from them, okay, to make it sure that it is successful and supported as an idea. How did we get the buy-in? How did they support? What sort of role did they play within the project? The next point, which is implementation and execution, okay, what was the plan? Okay, and here we're not looking for, as the first, what was the followed action plan? We're not looking for you to say, here's the action plan, and saying on day X, we had basically this activity to be completed. You can put a summary of what that action plan is, but it's more of, please tell us about the journey of the implementation, that you had a plan. How did it go? Did it work according to how you were envisioning the plan to happen? Or did you have some hiccups or some obstacles that you had to overcome? And basically, how did you overcome these issues? And again, if you have photos of the team implementing or the changes, so in the implementation and execution, it's bringing this new solution, new idea into life. Okay, how did it happen? How much work did you put into it? Okay, what was the roles and activities that were done within, let's say, the period that you were doing the implementation. Again, if the implementation was a small project that took a week, that might be easy. But if it's a long project that took you a few months or a year, where you were working and building stuff and making sure that the building blocks are happening correctly, try to highlight these elements within the implementation and execution to make sure that we get a good understanding and a full picture of how the implementation happened. Once you've done that, stakeholder engagement, what was the impact on the implementation best practice? Okay, here going back to the people and who were involved. Who are the different stakeholders involved in the project? Okay, and who was impacted, let's say, by the problem initially that you've identified, okay, and you spoke about, and what was the result after you've implemented this new solution or new idea? Okay, how did you get buy-in? If you had multiple, let's say, always when we have a problem or an issue or an opportunity identified, we can approach it from different angles or different ways. We can find solutions. So how did you guys get buy-in from all the different stakeholders on the solution that was implemented? How were they, let's say, what sort of involvement did the stakeholders have? Depending on your organization and depending on the implementation that you've done, it can be an internal activity of best practice. So it's only involving the department, the people within the organization, which is management, stakeholders. If you are, let me expand it a little bit, you're a multi-site within UAE or within the region or globally. How did you get this best practice to be adopted across the different, let's say, regions or different factories if they had an input related to it? If you are, let's say, a semi-government, government, or a service provider, and you have, let's say, you're a banking or a hospital, and you have regulatory bodies, you have the government, you have different stakeholders. If there were any involvement from the external stakeholders, again, please feel free to share. How did you get buy-in? How did you involve them in it? Given that you have this, again, it's not a mandatory and it's not a must. But if there was a role to different stakeholders within the project that you were working on, okay, it is important to highlight how did you get buy-in, what were their roles, and how did you get the alignment across the different stakeholders. And then as you complete the stakeholder, the step number 8 is key results and benefits. For any project, any activity that we've done, we look for the financial and non-financial outcomes and results from the project. Depending on the type of the project that you've implemented, you might not have a financial output. And this will be applied for all the other, let's say, categories or that we're going to talk about, okay, the other 3 categories. Depending on the project, let's say you're working on a safety problem, okay, that would have an improvement on how safe the working environment is, or you're working on employee engagement or customer engagement, okay, and you're trying to measure purely from that project the engagement of the employees and the engagement of customers, and you're not putting a financial output for it, that is totally fine. And the reverse is applicable. If you don't identify any non-financial, it's not a problem. But from my experience, over the last, as I said, 22 years working in the field, usually you do have financial and non-financial, but depending on how you measured your project, please highlight the outcomes and the results that you gained out of this project. One critical point that I would like to highlight, and this applies for all categories, from an assessment view of the project, we do not look at the financial as a measurement of the success of the project. So if we get 2 projects as an example, one is saying we saved 3 million dirhams, and another project said we saved 50,000 dirhams, okay? We're not going to say, yes, the 3 million is more valuable or much better. The financial results, again, is a storytelling from your end, what sort of benefits your company gained out of this project. Okay, so for us, we're looking at the mechanism, the project, the perfection of the implementation of the project, how well it went, and basically how was the project implemented from a technical point of view, and how you've managed to achieve the results you have achieved. So the numbers that you put from a financial point of view Please do not take it as a stress that, okay, we need to maximize the projects or choose projects which has a high value of financial return for us to be, let's say, considered. Has nothing. We have projects that has very minimal or no financial returns. So it's not a key measurement for, let's say, how well the project was executed. The last point is the learning. What is the learning from best practice? Okay, so from what this is related to the reflection. As you completed the project, as you have implemented this, what as a team and as an organization did you learn from this, let's say, journey? And can it be applied in different areas within the organization if it is not cascaded across the whole organization? Or how can others basically learn from this experience that you've been through? So this is basically talking about a reflection of the project itself, the activities, what went well, what didn't go well, what did we learn, and also from the best practice implementation or the best practices itself that you are talking about, how could you learn from this, okay, for future projects or for different activities that you're going to be carrying out within the organization. So this covers the first category, which is the best practice category. The second category is Lean Six Sigma category. And this, again, the first point, similar to the best practice, talks about the organization, where you would give a brief introduction about your organization in 1 or 2 slides. In the Lean Six Sigma category, it's purely following the structure of Lean Six Sigma, which is DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, and then control. So we are looking for projects that follow the structure of the Lean Six Sigma, and basically you are presenting the projects that you have in that manner. So in the define, you are gonna be looking at the project title, the business case, problem statement, which is within the define. The participants who are attending with us today, who are familiar with the Lean Six Sigma concept, you will be also familiar with what is required within the define phase, where you have a project charter, the team has been defined, the problem statement, utilizing the SIPOC, which is supplier, input, process, outcome, and customer, or the voice of the customer, the CTQs, which is the critical to quality. So within the define phase, we are looking for you to talk about how did you define the project? What was the criticality of the project? And who was the team who are working on it? The second is measure. Okay, we would like to see basically how did you measure the baseline of the project? What tools did you do? Did you utilize control charts? Did you carry out a measurement system analysis, okay, to validate your measurement systems, okay? What so do you have? Did you utilize the traditional approach of a pie chart, a bar chart, to identify how did you measure the current phase, the data collection process that you went through to validate and make sure that you have the right data for your process? Here, what I would like to highlight, we're not looking at, if you're familiar with the Lean Six Sigma, we're not looking at a master black belt or a black belt and being very technical and sophisticated and saying, yes, we used the statistical tools as SPCC or the Minitab. We're not looking for that. We're just looking at how did you formulate your data, how did you manage the measurement systems, and basically giving us a measurement analysis. So even if you utilize a simple data collection with the world that we're in today with AI and technology that we can go deep in business analysis, we're not looking for the advancement. If you have it, that's great, but it's not the mandatory perspective of what we're looking for. Once you completed the measurement, the analysis, going through the lean tools of the 7 waste, the process mapping, fishbone, 5 whys, going into the root cause, what sort of analysis did you carry out within the organization as a team to identify the root cause, and what are the bottlenecks that you have identified within the project? Then, as we reach to the root cause and identifying what are the problems, this is where you come about the brainstorming, the improvements, the ideas, the action plans that you've put, the trial and error. What sort of activities did you put in place? How did you run the pilot, if you have a pilot? or a model area where you've experimented with these new ideas. So within the improve phase here, step number 5 is making sure that you're talking and telling us about the journey of the improvement, putting these ideas, okay, or sorry, not putting it's formulating the ideas and at the same time putting these ideas into practice to validate that the idea is working and solving the problem that we're talking about. The last, not the last step, but the last of the mic is control. How did you standardize the solution that worked? Did you document it? How did you make sure that everyone has been trained, developed, and sustaining this idea? And also, it's important within the control is measuring, okay? Back to the point of the measure in the first, second step, where basically you're setting the benchmark of where the starting point is. Okay, now how can I validate that the solution has been approved? Sorry, not approved. The solution has been successful. And basically the results that we were expecting of reducing, let's say, quality issues or downtime or improving productivity, that we are achieving this. So this is within the control phase, highlighting the continuation of the measurement to validate that the solution is working and meeting the project objectives. Similar to the best practice, the last 3.789, but I'm going to talk about them each. Benefits, again, financial, non-financial, the return on investment, if you have return on investment from the project that you've done, the output from a people perspective, okay, who were working in the area, who are facing that problem. And this can come under the non-financial benefits that you gained. How the working environment, how is it? Is it safer? Is it more, the morale has been increased? Is there less accidents? So all these elements can relate to the non-financial, and the financial is purely what is basically the actual savings, or again, projected savings based on what you've done. The replication potential, okay, if you are, I'll give an example related to a factory, okay, if you've implemented this on one machine or in one department, is it possible to copy paste, even if not exactly, but the same concept on different machines or different departments? If you are, let's say, a retail store or a hospital, can this be copy pasted into different stores, okay, into different departments or different fields within the hospital, okay, and practitioners? How can they benefit from this solution that you've implemented? And then finally, summary of the improvement. If you have before and after photos, the journey itself of the, let's say, the problems of, let's say, something broken that has been fixed, or the implementation within the workplace that you've done as an example of 5S, or you've done a visual management, or you've improved the measurement system within the organization, trying to highlight the before and after of the journey. You don't need to keep it all to the end. You can embed it within the, let's say, the presentation, but if you want, at the end, you can have a summary of the improvement and basically important the reflection, which is what are the lessons learned from this project and this activity. How can we benefit, learn from it, the journey as individuals, as a department, and as an organization? So this is the second category, which is the Lean Six Sigma. We come to the third category, Kaizen and innovation category. Here, before I jump into explaining this category, let me talk about a very common question. A lot of questions that Dubai Quality Group receives on a regular basis is, we have an innovation idea, okay, or a project that we want to submit, but it's not related to Kaizen, or vice versa. We have a Kaizen project, but it's not we don't consider it innovation. How can we submit it? This category can be Kaizen independently, or innovation independently, or a combination between both. So if you have a new innovation that you think that you've implemented as a process, as a product, or as a system within the organization, and you want to submit it, it can be in this category. And you will only follow the questions, and it will have headers, but within each header, you will follow the questions related to the innovation only. Similar manner, if it's a Kaizen only, you will follow the Kaizen questions or bullet points within the slide. If it's a combination, you can utilize all the points within that header. So this is important related to the Kaizen and innovation. It can be segregated if you have one of or the other. So the first one is talking about the organization, similar to what we've done. As we move forward, related to each header, I'm going to talk about the innovation because the Kaizen will follow a similar manner to the best practice and the Lean Six Sigma, identifying the problem, talking about the journey and all that. But the innovation here will be more relevant as a slightly different approach. So if you have an innovation, how was the opportunity for the innovation identified? Okay, where did it come from? Was it a collaborative, let's say, work between different departments within the organization? Was it something between you and your customers? Was it something between you and your suppliers? Is it something that came from a customer idea that we adopted and we started to formulate to generate idea to formulate and to generate and to get the buy-in from the organization to move forward with it. In the planning and implementation process, within this, okay, what preliminary research was carried out? Okay, if you had any resources, explain the process of idea generation. Okay, if in the previous point, it's how was it born? Here, how did we formulate it? How did we move forward with it? How did we start to take it serious and make it as a real activity? Okay, and start to work on formulating the idea and putting an action plan for it, and basically involving the different, let's say, stakeholders, different people within the organization to make sure that we can come up with an idea that is implementable. Thoroughness in implementation, it's similar to what we've discussed previously. How was the feasibility of the concept evaluated? What tools, techniques were used for analyzing the feasibility? Especially within the innovation, sometimes it might be out of the box. That's something that we're not familiar with, or it's not proven yet. And we need to get some buy-in, justification to, let's say, invest in it. So here, what sort of the validation that you've gone through to make sure that there is approval from the board of directors, from the management of the organization, from the different stakeholders who are involved to get basically the evaluation approved, okay, and saying, yes, it's something we want to invest in, we want to move forward with. And then what sort of risks, okay, did it have? Sometimes when you have a new innovation, you might be faced of, if I move forward, I cannot go back to what how we were previously. So there is a risk of basically disrupting the whole ecosystem within the organization. So again, what sort of risks did you have or identify as you were starting to analyze the project? And as human beings, we tend to usually like to highlight and speak about our, let's say, successes and how good and great our ideas are. And we try to hide the problems, the issues, or the side effects of the ideas or the solutions that we have. So here it's important to highlight both. This is how much benefit we are going to gain from it, but be aware we have 1, 2, 3 as an example of downside that we need to mitigate or eliminate before we move forward. Okay, and also within the thoroughness, how was the full-scale implementation planned? So if it was implemented across the whole organization, so it's showing, let's say, the pilot area, the model area, and then cascading it across to the whole organization. How did you manage this? If it was cascaded, this new concept has been cascaded into multiple sites. How did you manage that across? Okay, how was the implementation monitored? So how did you manage to make sure that the implementation in the model area or as a pilot area was successful? And then following, if it was basically across the whole organization or multiple sites, how did you manage this across the organization? Going into the results and benefits, similar to what we've spoken previously, tangible, non-tangible, the financial and the technical. Is there any measurements from a customer satisfaction, society benefits? So trying to highlight all the elements related to the benefits of this new innovation that we have. So talking about this, so it depends again, what was the innovation relevant to? Where was it implemented? And how was it implemented? Okay. If it touched different people or different stakeholders, please highlight. We do not look at this from a presentation. So if you might, again, here you might say, someone submitted something related to benefit to the whole of Dubai, as an example, where we did an innovation related to our systems within our organization, where it improved the work environment in our organization. Again, this is a benefit and this is a benefit. We do not measure we look and we assess, yes, how was it impactful, but not necessarily the size of the impact, okay, is a determinant of who is going to win or how well that the project was implemented. So we're looking at the full journey. So what would make a difference, as an example, if this project can impact the whole of Dubai, but we've realized that from how you've done it, yes, we didn't achieve that result, this would be disadvantage to this project, that you haven't been able to successfully basically meet the full benefit. So the question would be, how can you cascade it across to everyone? What would be needed to be done? And this would come in the next few points, where basically from the learning of, okay, if we haven't, what did we learn? How was it a problem? So participation and engagement, similar to what we've spoken previously, the involvement of the project team, how did we select them, the feedback from the different departments, different stakeholders within the organization, and how they got the buy-in for this idea that we are implementing. As you put the new solution, the idea into place, practice, and it becomes the new normative or a new norm for work. Okay, how did you develop the standards? How do you sustain this new innovative idea to be the new way of working? Was it a mechanism of eliminating all the previous ways of work? Is it with engagement of the people, the buy-in of people? So how did you get the standardization? And then how did you update, let's say, your procedures, your systems within the organization to make sure that moving forward, this idea, if it's a Kaizen or an innovation, is sustainable and continuous? And then the eighth point is learning and horizontal deployment. What did we learn? What went well? What didn't go well? Can we benefit from this new idea or innovation that we've done? Okay. And basically, this idea, can it be implemented in different departments or different organizations within the company, or even can other people learn from this to benefit from the implementation that you have done? The last category is related to happiness and engagement category. And here also, before I start into explaining this category, one of the questions that we tend to get on a regular basis related to this category is happiness and engagement category related to our external customers, or can it be implemented for our internal employees within the organization? Okay, or is it only outside our customers? It can be either or both of them. So if you have created a project related to the internal customers within the organization, which are the employees and different stakeholders, okay, it can be a project that is submitted. If it's related to external customers who we serve and we offer our services or our products, it also can be related to them. In a similar manner to what we've explained previously, okay, organization, a bit about your organization, similar to what we've spoken, you'll find that there is a similar theme to all these categories. Initiative description. So where did this initiative of the engagement come from? What started it? Was there customer complaints? Are we losing customers? Are our employees disengaged? Okay. Or is it something related to the new changes that is happening within the world, that we've identified something different, that we identified an opportunity that we want to enhance the level of skills and engagement of our employees or our customers? We identified an opportunity within the market that we are operating in. So where did this initiative come from? Explain it, describe it, and as what I've said before, these bullet points in each section are helping you to formulate the storytelling, but it's not mandatory that you answer all of them, and that's not what we're looking for as a confirmation, that we are not looking for you to answer each question and say, look, I've answered the 4 questions, this is all what they've asked for. This is just an indicative point of some of the aspects that you need to include within your, let's say, presentation or your submission. 3, development and implementation. So as we have identified the problem or the issue related to the engagement and the satisfaction of the customers. Okay, how did we develop and formulate the project? How did we formulate the ideas? What sort of processes did we put into place? Okay, and what sort of policies and initiatives, frameworks that we need to review and change within our organization, and how were the emotional, social, cultural aspects addressed in creating happiness within the organization. So within the organization internally, and as I said, if it's an external customer, it's also possible. So as we're looking at satisfaction and engagement, you need to look at this category from these viewpoints: emotional, social, and cultural. How do we get the engagement from this, let's say, project and initiative that we've implemented? And assessment, the next category, assessment and refinement. What were the main results, qualitative and quantitative? Okay, what sort of as examples, here are some of the KPIs that are indicative. Increase in employees' happiness, satisfaction, survey index went up by X%, more happiness ideas generated. Okay, so these again are some of the ideas, the KPIs that you can highlight. But if you're not measuring these KPIs and you have your own identified KPIs or measurement system within the organization to identify the change, okay, this is totally fine to highlight it and talk about it. Is there any correlation between the happiness index and customer satisfaction or business results? So trying to link this in a financial way and return on investment from the project itself. What are the benefits from basically the tangible and intangible in relation to the project that we have implemented? Similar to what we've spoken about basically previously, the next 2 points are standardization and horizontal deployment. So not repeating myself and going through a lot. Standardization, how do we put this new idea, this new solution that we've implemented from this project as becoming the new norm within the organization, from putting standard work, SOPs, creating new systems, creating new disciplines within the organization. What have you done to make sure that this has been embedded in the organization as a new way of working or new way of, or new process or a new system? Horizontal development, okay, where can we learn and how can we expand this project or this idea from an engagement point of view across the organization? You might have achieved it across the whole organization. So tell us about the journey of the cascading of this idea, but also you might say, okay, based on this project, we realized that there are 2 new projects that we can launch as a follow-up based on this. And this is something that we would recommend and basically welcome within your, let's say, submissions of saying, okay, the continuation of this project is, we consider it now complete, and we have phase 2, which is an output that we realized, okay, or something that we've realized after we finished the project. So this can be horizontally deployed, horizontal development within the project itself. So these are the 4 categories, okay, of the best practice, Lean Six Sigma, Kaizen and innovation, and then customer satisfaction and engagement. Okay. Let me, before I go into handing over to Dua, let me just highlight one other point related to the 4 categories. You might listen to me. You've been listening to me for the last 30 minutes, and you might get confused in the sense of saying, okay, my project can fit in any of the 4. I'm not sure which category do I submit my project in. Okay, this is down to the project team and your organization. Where do you see your project fitting the most? Is it within the innovation, or is it within the Lean Six Sigma, or is it best practice? It's your call, okay, to define which category do you want the, let's say, the Dubai Quality Group and the basically the world to know about your project. Where do you want to submit it? So it's your identification and your call to say, yes, we're going to submit it in the best practice. So you can have this discussion within your team, within your organization and management, and decide to say, look, we can submit it as an example in Kaizen or best practice. Review the questions, review this headers, identify what it is, and then decide which category do you want to submit it in. Okay, so there is no limit to how many submissions you can have from within your organization. So if you have multiple projects within the organization, as an example, you're an organization and you have 3 projects that you want to submit, okay, from 3 different teams that are working on these projects, you might choose to have 1 project in each category. You might have all 3 projects in one category. Okay, it's again your call as an organization on how do you want to submit and which category do you want to compete in. Okay, do you want to compete all 3 in the same category or in multiple categories? It's your call related to that. With this, I'll hand over to Dua to talk a little bit about the submission steps and the rules and terms and conditions related to the submissions. And then we'll take the questions and answer some more questions related to the categories. Dua?
Thank you so much, Walid, for the informative awareness session. Really, a lot of information has been discussed or displayed in front of the audience. I would love to take our audience in a short tour to show them how to access the award page and to proceed for the submission. I'm going to share my screen right now in front of everyone. Hopefully you can see my screen. This is the page of the Global Continual Improvement Award. From the applicant, will need to scroll down to go through all the information written about the award here, and then he will be able to download the award guideline, which is including all the terms and conditions that has been mentioned in front of you a while ago. Also, you'll be able to download the submission template per each category. You need to fill it and then upload it. Once you complete the total filling of the submission template, you need to press here on the icon or the button of submit here. It will take you directly to the submission page, which is I'm gonna show it to you right now in front of everyone. You need to just enter your contact details as the main contact that authorized to be in charge for the submission and be in charge for the communication with Dubai Quality Group on your organization behalf. You have all the freedom to upload multiple submission or template per category and try to ensure the size or the maximum size per submission template not exceeding the 15 megabyte. And then after you complete the uploading the submission, you will click on submit button, which will take you directly to the next page, and I will try to show it to you. Hopefully it shows to you. You will there is a message will pop up in front of you saying thanks, we have received your submission, and then the second phase, completing the payment process. You can pay online or you can pay via bank transfer. In this case, you need to send an email with the total number of submission, and then the finance department will communicate directly with you, sharing the official invoice to receive the purchase of order from your company or to receive the bank transfer payment. I would like to highlight a very major point that we need from each organization to authorize one main contact person to communicate with Dubai Quality Group, because he will be the only person receiving all the full information regarding the assessment time, the interview time, or any other details to be forwarded accordingly to the rest of the team who's engaged with the submission. Now we will go ahead directly to the couple of questions has been received from the applicant from different channels. So if Mr. Walid allow me to start with the first question that I received, actually talking about the confidentiality of the submit case study maintained during and after the evaluation process.
Okay, so this is an important and very valid question. Okay, some organizations might have some confidential information that the project team are not allowed to share from a financial point of view, or some, let's say, technical photos or elements related to the working environment that you're working. Please, whatever is confidential information, do not share it within the presentation. Make sure that you keep confidential information confidential. What we're looking for is from the project assessment is the journey, the implementation, what you've done. So if it's a financial element, you can say we had an increase rather than saying the amount. Okay, you might say we started with a certain level and the increase of our financial revenue was, let's say, 10% from where we started. This will still be an acceptable and valid measurement of the project. If it's related to, let's say, some of the processes or the systems that you can't share, please talk about everything else other than this element. What I would recommend, if the project as a whole, and also we had in the Arabic session as a follow-up related to this, saying, okay, which we're going to talk about in the next few questions. If we submit the document and we get, let's say we pass the first phase of assessment, can we talk about the confidential information verbally when we do our presentation? Okay, if we go to stage 2 of the assessment. Here, I would say confidential information is confidential information. I don't think it's about the writing or the verbal. If you're not allowed to share it, please do not share it. Okay, this is important. My recommendation, if the project as a whole, you're going to say, look, the process is confidential, the activities are confidential, and you're having to mask and hide a lot of information, you need to rethink, is this a good project to submit for this award? But if it's an element or two within the whole project that you need to hide is financial or some of the photos, then that's not a problem. Okay. But please make sure that whatever is confidential not to be shared within. The presentations are not going to be publicly shared online or anything. When we receive let's say, the submissions of the organizations, it's only for the eyes of the assessors who are, let's say, reviewing and assessing the projects. So nothing is going to be shared publicly. Nothing is going to be put anywhere in public domains. So this is making sure that the presentations, even if it's not confidential, it's not going to be shared with anyone else other than basically the DQG team and the assessors who are doing the assessment.
Perfect, Walid. Thank you so much. The second question that is talking about what is the acceptable time frame or duration that the case study should cover? Is there a specific start and end period required?
Okay, so for this question, what we're looking for is the best usually, or what we're looking for is a completed project. Okay, and this project, the criteria for it hasn't been submitted to Dubai Quality Group in any of the previous award cycles. Okay, it's not a problem if you've shared it in other platforms globally or regionally for awards. That doesn't impact your submissions, because I know some, let's say, competitions, okay, request that you have not participated with that project or presentation anywhere else. Within Dubai Quality Group, we don't have that restriction. You might have submitted it in multiple awards, okay, and sometimes we do receive some projects that they try to highlight, saying that we've won this category, we won this in this country, or this award. That doesn't have an impact on the assessment of what we're doing, because we don't know what sort of projects they were competing against. So we put this to one side, and basically we have an unbiased measurement and assessment across all projects, okay, putting aside if it's been submitted elsewhere or even if it's a winning project. And we do have real cases where winning projects in different regions were not the winning projects in previous cycles. Some new projects that have been submitted were the winning projects. The duration related to this, as I said, usually it depends on the size of the project. You might have a small project that started at the beginning of the year, just been completed this month in June, okay, and you want to submit it for this 14th cycle. That's totally acceptable. If you have a project that has been going for the last 2 years, okay, and it's been completed in December 2024, that's also feasible. So we're looking at 4 projects that have been completed within the last 2 to 3 years, okay, and as I said, has not been submitted in within the previous cycles. We also, as a follow-up question related to this, yesterday in the Arabic session, we had as a member asking, saying, um, we haven't closed the project. So my recommendation is you can delay it for the next cycle, the 15th cycle, because this award happens on an annual basis. But if you're close to finishing it, okay, and you have the full, let's say the full picture, okay, and you can, let's say, predict, let's say, the returns and the results and everything, and you're close to finishing, and you feel that you want to, let's say, motivate the team that worked on the project, the organization wants to share it within this cycle, please feel free. But again, a completed project is a better option, okay, with a full, let's say, cycle of learning, return on investment, results that you can talk freely or present freely to the Dubai Quality Group.
Thank you, Walid. The next question, is there a maximum or recommended number of slides allowed for the final submission?
Yes, as what I've highlighted earlier in the presentation, we're looking basically as what Duat said, okay, is the size of the file needs to be 15 megabyte. Am I correct? Okay, so it's 15
Yes.
megabyte. And also from a slides per number, we're looking at maximum 20 slides. Okay, so please feel free to how to organize your slides and how to manage your slides with the information that you need to present, because this will be a fair assessment where everyone needs to submit 20 slides where they cover, sorry, the full story of their project. So you might be penalized, okay, if you go, let's say, 25 slides, because we won't know which slides to eliminate. So basically, please respect and follow the guidelines of, basically, there is a 20 slide maximum. So if you finish with less and you realize, okay, I need 18 slides, that's not a problem. You don't get penalized for less, but make sure that you cover all the points within each category that you're submitting in.
Thank you, Walid. The next or the following question is, should it follow a specific format or a template? Can an organization submit a multiple case study under the same category, or is only one submission allowed per category?
No, you can have as many, again, highlighted during the session, you can have as many submissions that you want within the different categories. If you have 10 in, let's say, best practice, it's your call if you want to put them all for that submission. You have 10 submissions and you want to distribute them between innovation, Kaizen, and let's say best practices, customer engagement. Again, that is totally fine to distribute. The format, there is the template that you can download from the Dubai Quality Group website, where you have to follow that template. Again, you can play within the template of organizing the content inside it, but please make sure that you follow the template that you've downloaded from the Dubai Quality Group.
Thank you, Ali. The following question is, what are the different assessment phases involved in the audit process? There will be an initial screening, detailed evaluation, site visit, or presentation round?
Okay, perfect. So basically when you submit your projects, okay, it is a two-phase assessment. So all projects that has been submitted would be reviewed and assessed from basically the assessors from Dubai Quality Group. And basically from these, there will be a short list of a number of projects. These projects that are shortlisted will be invited to do a 20-minute presentation to a panel to describe and explain more details about their project and present it. From this, then the panel will decide who are the winners of each category. Also, what is important related to this, once you have the presentation submitted, okay, it's the same presentation that you're going to go through the whole journey. So there is no saying a request to say, please, can you upgrade and change your presentation for basically the interview and the discussion with the panel. So you're going to follow. If you have very minor changes to the presentation, that would be acceptable, but it's not going to be, we don't want the team to re-change their project or feeling us being unfair in the sense of saying, okay, can you revamp your presentation now to present it in a different manner? So make sure your presentation is suitable to be assessed from a screening point of view, but also ready for a presentation if you need to present. To highlight here an element, remember, each team that submits a project, there's a lot of work that has gone, a lot of effort and energy that has, and there is a lot of pride also that we've achieved this project within the organization. You won't be able to put all this, especially if it's a multi-month, several months that you had the project over, to put everything in 20 slides. So make sure what are the key elements that you want to highlight, what are the messages that you want to put in the slides, bearing in mind that the person who's assessing it will not have the capability of verifying the points or asking verifying questions. Okay, so how can you highlight the message, okay, to the assessor in a way that they can understand, see the storytelling of the project, understand the key points that we're looking for from an assessment point of view of defining the problem, the implementation, the return on investment, the stakeholder engagement. Okay, all these elements have been highlighted, touched upon, and basically understood, okay, from a written point of view where you can have it in writing, graphs, charts, photos. You find a way how to do all these elements. And then when you come, if you are successful and you go into the second phase, this is where you need to start to prepare. How am I going to present this? Okay, so when you come into the presentation, if you're successful and you've been invited as, let's say, a shortlisted project, who are the team who are going to present? Okay, is it one member is going to present the whole presentation, or is it multiple members of the team who is going to present? Again, there is no limit or no impact if it's one person talking or multiple people talking. But you need to think, again, when you're presenting, part of the presentation is going to be assessed on how you are delivering the project. So it can have an impact. Unfortunately, some of the projects that we've seen in previous cycles, the presentation didn't go well because the member who was talking wasn't the best presentation done, or talking storytelling of what the project was. So be aware who's going to present, how we're going to present, and the presentation is usually half an hour, where there will be 20 minutes for basically the team to present their project, and then 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes related to Q&A related to the project itself. So these are elements that you need to keep in mind on how we approach the assessment, what are the phases of the assessment, and then how do you reach to become a finalist or an award winning in a category of the Continuous Improvement Award.
So to summarize the assessment phases that Walid just mentioned right now, we have around 3 phases. First phase is the desktop assessment. Second phase is the site visit online that's running between the assessors committee and the applicant team. Third phase is to shortlist the organization that they will gonna reach the final stage by running benchmarking with all the applicant, displaying or representing their case study for 20 minutes in front of the jury, and then 10 minutes Q&A between the jury and the applicant itself. Then we'll conduct a closing jury meeting the next day to finalize the winners per each category. It might be one winner per category, or maximum 3 winners per category. It depends on the scoring that they're gonna achieve. The last question, I don't know if Walid, you have been highlighting this issue. I'm receiving this concern all the time about the Kaizen and innovation case study. Most of the applicants they say the project itself around the innovation, not the Kaizen, and the opposite versus. So how they can sort out this issue?
Just reiterating based on what I've mentioned in the presentation, if you have a Kaizen or innovation, you can just follow the section and the points, bullet points within each header related to the category that you're talking. If it's an innovation, just follow the questions related to the innovation. And you would say this is, and again, the project title, you can say it's innovation with whatever the title relating, referencing it into innovation. You don't need to say it's not a Kaizen. Okay. From the title and how you flow the story, we will understand that it is an innovation or it is a Kaizen. So related to the team, as you start to work on preparing, let's say, the documentation for the project to be submitted, just follow the header with the question or bullet points related to Kaizen or to the innovation. Okay. And if you want to expand it, read everything. And if you find something, you're talking about innovation, but you find something relevant from the questions in the Kaizen that can enhance how you present your project from an innovation point of view, feel free to do that. So, but again, you can have an innovation separately and Kaizen separately. But when you submit it, it will be under the category of the Kaizen and innovation. Related to this, because it's 4 categories, okay, and it's Kaizen and innovation, it will be assessed if it's a pure innovation and we have other projects which are Kaizen. They will all be identified of what is the best project within this category. So we won't have a reward to just highlight. There wouldn't be a reward for the best innovation and the best Kaizen. It is a Kaizen and innovation reward. So it will be competing with projects on Kaizen and innovation in that category. Similar manner to the engagement. Is it internal or customers? If an organization has done it related to external customers, okay, and another organization did it for employee engagement, they will both be assessed on the success of the project and how it's assessed indifferent of which type of stakeholder, internal or external, were basically targeted.
Thank you so much, Walid. I believe that we reached to the end of the awareness session. Just to inform the audience that it's running right now, live stream on our channel on YouTube. You can watch it again, and the original recording will be uploaded on the website, the page of the award, and share it with the attendees by email as well. If you have any other concern, you would like to discuss it privately, you can share your details via email or over the phone as per the contact details mentioned in the award page. You can reach me easily, and we will forward directly to our consultant, Mr. Walid. Within 24 hours, you will receive the answers on your concern. Thank you so much, Walid, for being with us over yesterday and today as well for 2 days, and looking to meet you again soon within the assessment phase, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Dua, and thank you for all the participants who attended with us today and shared their questions to help everyone understand better, let's say, how to submit and how to apply for this uh, award. So thank you very much, everyone, and
Thank you.
hopefully to see you in the assessments and the rewards.
Soon, inshallah, and wishing the best for all the applicants. Thank you.
Thank you.